How you doing, guys? Today in this video we're gonna start working on the dash. Before we get involved with working on the back side of the hood, let me just show you how the front side turned out. Everything's pretty much all done. I do have some sanding scratches right in this area that I need to deal with, but essentially the holes are all done. They're all filled in. This one could use a little bit more sanding, but we'll do that later. The outer ring is all been reinforced. The back side's been reinforced. So this is all set. And when we pull back and take a look from the front, it looks pretty good. So I'm real happy with that. One thing I want to do before I start really diving in is show you where the original decals were on my tractor. Now, I've noticed that these decals on Seniors are all over the place. A lot of them have been replaced or are missing. But on mine, you can actually see the witness mark of where it once was. So this decal here is considered the reproduction decal for a Senior, and as you can tell, it goes like in this position. But if we take a look, the witness mark actually goes longer than this decal, which is quite interesting. So let's just take a couple quick measurements for those guys who are looking to maybe put their decal in a more original position. You can see that's 5.5 inches. Whoops, there it is. That's about 5.5 inches from the edge. This is a rolled edge, so even though it may not look perfect, it is. Or not perfect, but it's close enough. So 5.5 inches there. And then if we take from the bottom, we're talking 1.25 inches from the bottom. So 1.25 inches from the bottom, 5.5 inches from the edge. But the thing that's interesting is this. This decal is for a 1957 Wheel Horse RJ35. But when we go up and take a look, it almost fits my witness mark perfectly. Now, I know this is the wrong decal, but all I'm just saying is this. If we look here, you got this little raised section, you got a little lowered section. That almost fits this. It's in the opposite direction, but if we do that, it almost fits the entire witness mark. So I suggest, did Wheel Horse use a decal like this at one time, but instead of saying junior, it said senior? I don't know. I've never seen one. If you've seen one, just put it in the comments below. Maybe do a response video to this. But in general, I just thought that was very interesting. It's almost exactly the same size. It almost witnesses perfectly. Obviously, this is wrong because this is a junior decal and this is a senior. I don't know. I throw it out to the public and let's see what happens. Well, let's see what people say. All right, let's dive into the back. So I got the back preliminarily set up. One of the things that I was dealing with is this section of the hood over the course of time warped and was really bent like in this direction. So these two corners weren't even in line. You really had to twist and get the hood in line. So what I did was I just took a piece of angle iron, a piece of steel that I had, wrapped it in a bag, clamped it down, and as you can see, the hood is that line is fairly straight, or straight enough, we should put it. One of the interesting things is when they made this hood, from what I can see on mine, is this portion and the top portion was probably molded all as one, but the back, meaning this piece right here, was separate. And you can see that right here by the line that's kind of created right there. You can see that this was separate from the back. And then when I take a look at this area right here, because there was a crack formed from, oh, I actually have it taped up, I'm sorry, but there's a crack right here. If we take a look, we can actually see that it is basically hollow, and you can see how the mat kind of curls up to this back piece, and there it is right there. So from what I can guess, they molded this section and then did the back wall. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and flow or inject resin into this area, because it's pretty deep. I mean, it goes underneath all this. Plus there's the crack, and you can see it right there. I made a little masking tape dam, if you would. So when I fill this in, it doesn't bleed everywhere. I mean, if it bleeds a little bit through the crack, and that's fine. I'm going to have to sand it all anyways. But I think the first thing we're going to do is go ahead and inject the resin in this area, so that way we can make this solid again. And then eventually I'll flip the hood up on its end, and we'll start to make the patch that's going to go here. I think the patch is basically going to go all the way down to this area. I'm going to fix this and then reshape the hole all together, so that way it looks clean and it's all going to be fixed. But in general, the edges look really good. It looks fairly straight. So I think we're ready to go. So let me go ahead and mix up some epoxy. I've got the hood in the upright position so I can start making the back patch, I guess if you want to call it. I did right here finish off all the resin, I should say, is all finished off. It's hardened. It's amazing how much resin I put in this, and it just kind of oozed all the way down underneath all of this old mat that just wasn't even connected. You can see right here, there's a crack that kind of goes right up here in this area. It all bled through to the front side. So I think I have fairly good, I guess, penetration of the resin. There is a little bit of a hole right here. I'll fill that in eventually, but just not now. But at least this whole area is nice and stable. I'm going to go ahead and start pre-cutting some mat to fill in this hole. I'm also going to fill in all of the locator holes here that are in the hood. This is this is where it mounts to the back bar on the transmission. It's also where the throttle goes. The throttle cable goes through here. In any event, all the holes, as you can see, are all different sizes and shapes. So we're going to go ahead and fill all these holes in when I do the patch. Maybe not that one, only because I don't have the backer there yet. But I'll put a piece of backer there and fill that hole in, and then I can just re-drill them all and make it nice and neat and smooth. Just so you can see how I have this hooked up. Here's the piece of angle iron that's holding everything straight. It's clamped down with these two clamps. I just took a piece of another angle iron, clamped it together, then clamped it to the table so this thing doesn't move. I just have a jack stand on the back side to support it. So with that, let me get to cutting. So with the patch roughed in, and it's very rough, just like all the other initial patches, it doesn't look bad. It's really strong now. I am going to have to kind of like bridge this area down here with some more mat. I didn't come up high enough. I don't know why I didn't think of this, but essentially I want to come up to maybe about to here and then reshape this hole for the steering tube to go through. I have some pictures of original or very close to original hoods with the hole, so I'm going to mimic that as close as I possibly can to get mine to look fairly normal. But overall, I'm real happy with this. This can all be filled in and sanded down. Not worried about this at all. Not worried even about this. It's just getting the general shape to look nice. These are all filled in. Just need to touch them up with some resin and then sand them down. And then those are all done and finished. And then the next thing will be to just fill in these little holes right here, keeping the big one open. So when I put my switch back in, I can remark it, re-drill it, and everything will be just fine. All right, guys, I think that's it for this week. So hopefully you enjoyed it. Hopefully you're still interested in the project. It's coming along real nice. I'm real happy with it. But in the next video, we'll have the back all finished. We'll theoretically start to wet sand it all down and get it buffed up. And hopefully the hood will be complete and we can move on to the next project, which is to machine some gears for the banjo rear end. So as always, thank you very much for your support. Like, share, subscribe, and as always, have a great day.